How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Pokemon Masters Console podcast episode number 33. 33. Justin, what's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, Pokemon Masters Council? We're here, back with another podcast episode today. Zero on the main docket, the main segment today. We're going to be talking about Unite again, another Thea Sky Ruins episode. We're specifically going to be talking about the last 2 minutes of the game. When Rayquaza spawns, you get double scoring, all of that jazz. So we did lots of videos already. Check out our YouTube channel, check out our Spotify, check out all of that stuff. For all of our Thea content so far, there's plenty in terms of our theories about the main part of the game. Today we're specifically going to be talking about the last 2 minutes, pros, cons, do's, don'ts, all the nitty gritty. But before that, what's up, buddy? How you been?
I've been good. As far as things in my personal life, absolutely nothing interesting has happened. Literally nothing. I've just been working since States.
Well, especially in comparison to last podcast.
Yeah.
Was like half the episode.
It's like my life is just like after States. Like it's just this. I'm back to boring old go to work and play Pokemon and grind stuff out. We just, I know you and I just kind of like, we've been putting out content. We got some videos that have come out, things that you guys should check out, and things that we're going to talk about. First thing that we're going to talk about, we did the a G-Max Melmetal video, Series 13.
That was a lot of fun. We did a little experiment with like a specialty defensive, mixed, bulky, bruiser kind of build in Series 13.
Mm-hmm.
It is nice to be able to try out some of the pokes that we've never been able to play in VGC. We still have plans to try out my main man himself. He's a grass type and he's a monkey. He's a rude. Super big fan of that guy.
I was theory crafting as a root team earlier, man.
For both you and podcast listeners, the Zarude movie is actually pretty legit. It's basically Pokemon Tarzan.
Okay.
Well, a wild kid gets raised in the jungle, but instead of gorillas, it's raised by Zarudes. It's literally Pokemon Tarzan, but it's a good movie, and Zarude's cool. So,
but
that's where the Zarude with the pink handkerchief, you know?
Yeah. Dada Zarude.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Okay, did Phil Collins do the soundtrack though?
No.
All right. Then I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know if I can do it. But yeah, we want to do more Series 13 content. Leave a comment below if you want us to do more. Because, Sword and Shield, it's got 1 foot in the grave, and we want to just squeeze out as much life as we can get from it, because there's still interesting things to be had on Sword and Shield. I'm actually, sad that it's ending.
Yeah, especially because, like we talked about before, our channel started in Series 8.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this was our resurgence after you and I both took a hiatus from competitive Pokemon in Series most of 6 and 7, and all of 7. So, or not Series, in Generation 6 and 7.
Mm-hmm.
So, in multiple ways, Galar was a resurgence.
Mm-hmm.
And a breath of fresh air for competitive, a breath of fresh air for our local group. We started the PMC, started this channel based off everything. So Galar is always going to be, I think, a big staple. Just like, your very first game, Kanto, mine, Hoenn.
Yep.
And after that, the next staple in our lives, Heart Gold Soul Silver.
Yes, absolutely. Gen 4 was the best gen. Well, no, it wasn't the best, but it is up there.
And because that's when we started competitive play. For
right.
People that don't. Heart Gold Soul Silver was our introduction to EV training, IVs, everything we do now, Showdown. And I think Gen 8 is that next checkpoint. Gen 8 is now, boom, that's locked in for all time. We're going to be talking about this 20 years from now. Like, oh yeah, Gen 8, this is going to be one of those landmarks in our collective gaming group forever. It's going to have an emotional attachment. We're going to have a nostalgia. It's going to be, it's always going to be something that we look back fondly.
And then we're gonna be like, yeah, but the timer situation sucked.
Yeah.
Well, there's like
Yeah.
fun. Oh, guys, remember raid battles and max raid deads? Remember when we got destroyed by Kyogre?
Those raid dens were so fun.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy staying around in Gen 9 with the crystal dens. It's one of the best things they've ever done. It's so fun. We spent thousands of hours collectively in our group playing raids.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, so like we said, we're trying to do a little more Sword and Shield content. We're also just kind of as a channel trying to figure out what we are going to do moving forward. We're waiting for more information from Gen 9, so we're kind of trying to figure out, like, are we going to do singles? I don't think we're going to do Showdown. Maybe we'll do Showdown vids, but I don't think Showdown specifically will end up being
a staple.
Yeah, because I think we're going to do Unite for sure. And whatever else we do, we're going to figure, it's probably going to be cartridge. Like, it'll probably be
VGC or whatever else, Gen.
3v3 battle stadium singles.
Yeah, because 3v3s, we don't have Dynamax anymore, right? So, like, that could potentially be a really healthy metagame and a fun one.
I think so, too. So, with all that being said, let's move on to some other things. Dodrio came out. Justin, you laid it all out. You made a video for Dodrio that we're going to link in the description. But you laid it all out. Your thoughts on Dodrio. It's been a week now since Dodrio's come out. And
they've patched him.
Okay.
They buffed him 24 hours less than 24 hours after release. They went in and buffed him.
Okay.
So, like, when I made that video, it was 2 o'clock in the morning. I published it the next day. But by the time I got out of work the next day, it was already patched. So, like, the context in which I made that video was literally within the first 8 hours of the release of the character. And that state of the character, I stand by everything in the video.
Hey, life moves fast, baby.
But it moves fast. So what they did is they went in and they buffed Tri-Attack. We've talked with Sport Ninja. He's been playing a lot of them, been having a lot of fun. We've got a lot of thoughts. We're actually working on a separate video for that, so we're not going to get into it here, but basically the short version is, for anybody, Zero or anyone else watching, Dodrio is better than it was day one. It has a very, very thin sliver of a specific niche of when and if it can be good. And even then, you have to put a lot of time and effort in it to be able to perform correctly. What I mean to say is that it's very difficult for you mechanically, and it's also difficult based on the RNG of the matchup and the time and the blah, 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 blah. So it depends on what your approach is. If you're just trying to play Dodrio, then yes, Dodrio has a place. And Dodrio can definitely do work. Yes, that is the answer. But if it's a conversation of ranked climbing or efficiency or something like that, then I would say it's probably a bit more questionable and niche than just like, I just want to play him just because.
Right.
Sort of similar to how we feel about Azumarill. Not bad anymore, but it's still not the most efficient pick.
I could summarize Dodrio as like usable but unnecessary, kind of.
Perfect. I feel the exact same way about his lack of R-stick aiming.
Yeah, why?
It's usable. You can get used to it, but it just feels unnecessary. An extra layer of complication that doesn't need to be there.
Right, like you put in all that work and then, go back and play Solar Beam Venusaur, a few games later, and then you're like, oh, wait a second.
Yeah, it's just not necessary. But yeah, so the good news is I am really, really pleased. Jokes aside, I am really pleased to see that they were self-aware enough to go in, and no, I don't think that they did enough. If we're just calling a spade, I don't think it's enough. But I like the trajectory. it's a good sign that they are willing to go in less than 24 hours after character is released live and be like, oh yeah, this dude sucks. Let's turn the volume up. You know what I mean?
Like, this Pokemon's trash.
That's because that's what it says.
Yeah.
If you're going to get a buff less than a day after release, that means that you sucked.
Yeah.
Just like Sylveon, she got a nerf less than 3 days after release because she was overpowered. That's what that tells us. So, in terms of their intent as game developers. So, yeah, if you're somebody that's really looking to be a Dodrio main, yes, she can work. I personally still like the Drill Peck because it has the CC. But the biggest complaint that we all have, Doug included, Sport Ninja included, you can't overdunk.
Yeah, this is the biggest problem. Like, this character was designed to go off and score, but because of the multi-scoring heads 3 times, you can't overdunk. Your overdunks look like 2 or 3 or maybe 10 if you're lucky. That's what your overdunks look like, unless it's
maybe 15. Maybe 15 at the most.
The goal, say the goal has 1 point left on it, and you score in double scoring. How many points do you get for that, Justin? Like 30?
So if you have 50 in your pocket, the way that it works, because it doesn't split it up evenly, it's not like, let's say you had 45. We'll use an even number, or the divisible by 3. So you had 45 points in your pocket. It's not going to split that up into 3 scores of 15.
Yep.
What it's going to do is your first dunk is going to be like 40 to 50%. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so 27, we'll say, just for...
And then the next one will be like... So, like, if you have 50, you're going to dunk 32. I'm not being flippant. Like, that's how... The last time I played, I had 50, and the first head of the 3 dunks was 32.
Yeah.
And then the next one was, like, 18, and then the next one was, like, the last 12, whatever the math turns out. You know my point, though, right?
So in a perfect world, the most you could overdunk is, like, 61 on a goal that has 1 point left on it in the final 2 minutes. And that scenario... just doesn't happen.
You're not going to be able to get your full 50 in and score a hundo. You're going to get like 60.
Yeah. So
and sucks.
Yeah,
that even
really
in the video that I put up.
Yeah, that really holds the character back.
17 left. 17 times 2. That's over 30 points. Like, that's a lot of points to just be leaving on the board when you're supposed to be the scoring character because you suck at everything else.
Yeah.
Relative. Like, so to me, I don't care about the triple stacking shake weight thing. If they thought that was too egregious and too overpowered, I don't personally think it would have been, but that's not a hill I'm willing to die on. The lack of overdunking to me is a real detriment.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, like you mentioned, it's good. It's a good sign, and it's good that they're paying attention and recognizing, like, yes. Okay, yeah, this sucks. So it's good that they buffed it. But that brings me to something. Maybe I don't want to tread on this too much. Be a Debbie Downer.
I think it's worthwhile because it's been a month.
Why? Okay, Dodrio just came out. Next week is Scizor.
No.
Not next week? 2 weeks?
Bro, tomorrow is Scizor.
Tomorrow? Today's the 21st.
Oh, next week. You're right.
Yeah.
Next week.
Okay. Sorry, you had me tripped up, bro. I was like, what?
I tripped up. No, yeah. You're right. So next week is Scizor.
So next week is Scizor. Okay. It's one of my favorite Pokemon.
A week. Yeah. So I think it's what is it? The 29th is the release date.
Yeah.
So then it's actually a week from today. We're recording this on a Wednesday. Next Wednesday is the 28th. So because it's the 29th at midnight in Japan, that'll be the 28th at around 8 p.m. for us here in Michigan. Your time zone may vary, but basically, it's looking like next Wednesday.
So here's the thing, okay?
Hit me with it.
They released Dodrio behind, I don't want to say a paywall, but you couldn't buy...
That's exactly what it is. It is behind a paywall.
All right.
Explain that.
You can't buy Dodrio with coins for the first week. The free currency in the game.
It doesn't exist. There's no option. If you want Dodrio right now, you have to spend real money, period.
Until what, tomorrow? Tomorrow's... Or tonight at 8 or whatever, because we're recording on a Wednesday.
Is it 1 2?
I think it's 1 week. For 1 week, you cannot buy the character with coins.
I thought it was 2, but don't quote me. Don't quote me.
Either way, it doesn't.
Either way, you just right.
It doesn't matter because, okay, so Scizor's coming out. I dropped a bunch of money to go through the hoops to get Mew. Okay, I'm glad I didn't spend real money on Dodrio because it's just not a character that I thought was like necessary for my roster. Maybe I'll get him later.
No. It's just not your cup of tea right now, and that's totally fine.
Scizor's coming out. He's one of my favorite Pokemon, but I am so jaded to the fact that I am getting nickeled and dimed for every character. For the most part. I mean, there's been free characters. I like the event characters like Hoopa. Hoopa didn't take that long to unlock. What, 2-3 days? Maybe a little more?
Glaceon
Glaceon
was 5 days or 4 days, so that one's
I'm fine
a little
with that.
bit.
I'm fine with that.
Mew, it took Sport Ninja like I think 10 days to get. Yes, he had stuff going on in his real life. He's a father of 2,
right.
But the fact of the matter is, it took him a minute to get Mew.
He's not the only person with things going on in his life. We all have things going on. You got a job. I got a job.
Exactly. Now, I want to interject just real quick.
Go for it.
This is a flavor conversation.
Right.
This is a preference. This is not... Zero is not saying that this is like a static law, a rule set in stone type of thing. This is just how he feels. Because I don't feel the same way he does. Well, I mean, I do, but for my own personal account, I don't feel the same way. But we approach the game in a little bit different. And that's literally what the conversation needs to be about, is your intent as a consumer, as a customer. We are customers of the game developer. We are the consumer. They are the you know what I mean? Like you go to the grocery store. You don't work there. You're buying the groceries.
Yeah.
Take this game. I just play it. For me personally, one of my own personal Justin goals for Justin's account, I want to own everybody. Zero doesn't care about that. You don't care to own everybody. That's not anywhere near the top of your priority list. You're like, that's not what I'm about. That's not why I'm here.
No.
I want to play the characters I like. I want to play characters that are good or whatever, but like, I don't need to own every character on the roster, right? That's sort of your approach. It's like, that's just not a priority to you. Whereas for me, that is a priority.
Yeah.
So I spent real money on Mew. I spent real money on Dodrio. Yes, I regret spending money on Dodrio right now, but in the long run, I still want to own every character, and that's what it takes, so I just did it. But yeah, I have to say, it is starting to get a little bit like, all right, $40 skins, and I have to buy real money to get the characters. It's just like, you could be spending your time a little bit more wisely, like maybe patching Mr. Mime.
Or Glaceon.
Or Glaceon, or Mew, or there are some egregious broken characters. Mr. Mime is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, he's an unkillable elo grinding machine.
Even after they nerfed him.
Yeah.
It wasn't even kind of close to enough. He does way too much damage. He's way too good at everything. Dealing damage, taking damage, healing, scoring, defending scores. He's literally good at everything. So, I don't know. It's just this economy of the new characters. It does have, if I had to put my finger on it, yeah, I'd be on the 49th percentile. It is a negative taste in your mouth right now.
Yeah, because like I'm sitting over here contemplating not getting one of my favorite Pokemon the day it comes out.
Don't do a disservice. Like, it's not just one of your favorite. This is a verified... It's the gap between third and fourth place. It might as well be from here to the moon.
Right.
This is a top 3. Like, this is like Pikachu for Ash level mascot.
Yep.
This is Omega we're talking about. This is the boy. And they're going to make you spend real money. And yes, if you were to like, hey, Zero, a year ago, hey, you could play Caesar, but you got to spend real money. Oh, I'll do it right now. Take my money.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what you're alluding to is the context of what we've gone through, and now they're practicing this. They upped the cost, and then put the paywall.
Yeah, and it's like in the grand scheme of things, does it really matter? Is it really that expensive? No? Question mark. But at the same time, when you sit there and you contemplate how much you've really been spending, it adds up, man. It adds up a lot, dude. Like, you want to be conscious with your money.
Here, $20 there, $10. Like,
battle passes, you know.
What every economist says. Like, you literally Google just the most basic entry-level economics tutorial or guide on YouTube. The very first thing they'll say is, "Hey, cut out the what do they call it? The whatever spent my brain's farting, but the incremental spending. Stop doing the $5 here, the $10 there, the $20 here. That's where your money's going."
Yeah.
Like, if you're somebody that's like, man, I got paid, but now I'm just like broke. That's why.
Yep.
That's the first thing you do if you're trying to get a hold of your budget. That's the very first piece of advice you hear. The very first thing you hear. That's why there's these new there's a new subscription thing you can get out there. It's called Truebill, where it goes in and it'll cancel all your unwanted subscriptions that you didn't. Oh, I forgot I was paying $15 a month for Hulu.
Yep.
Or HBO Max or whatever, right? Oh, I forgot about this. Gummybears.com, whatever you're into.
Gummybears.com.
I mean, Truebill. So, like, that's literally why these things exist. This is not, we're not breaking new ground here.
No.
You're right. Like the 5, the 10, the 15, the 20, you just, it's only $5 here, $5 there. Okay, well, over the course of the month, that's $200.
Yeah, and when you're a guy like me who is just trying to be a good boy, save a few dollars here and there. I haven't been going out to eat as much. I'm trying not to spend on stupid little things so I can buy Splatoon. You know what I mean? Like, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, I gotta spend money on Scizor first, even though I've been hoarding my coins for the past year.
30 coins waiting for this, and now you can't even do it for 2 weeks. It's like, why?
Right.
The only positive, I do think there is a positive, but the only positive that I can see to having the paywall is this. How difficult has it been certain times for us to record early or day one or week one footage of a new character that's a popular character?
Nearly impossible.
Why?
Because
even when we got 3 or 4 PMC and we all have it favorited.
Everyone else has it favorited.
Because everyone wants to play the new sauce.
Yep.
Everyone loves T-Tar. Everyone loves Caesar. So, like, he's gonna be popular.
It's gonna be a pain, dude.
But with this paywall, it's going to be dramatically less. Just like Mew and just like Dodrio, we don't see them everywhere because not everyone has them, because not everyone wants to go spend the money.
Mm-hmm.
So there is that. If there was one positive, that would be the positive that came to my mind, is that, well, at least not every Randy will have him day one.
Yeah.
It's only the people that really love and want to go spend the money that will actually own him, which is dramatically less likely that you're going to have to fight for him every single game. Like, I never had a problem getting Mew once.
Right. No, neither did I.
I never had a problem getting Dodrio one time. Never once. I think Caesar is going to be more than that, but it's not going to be anywhere. It's going to be, I think, like literally less than half, a quarter of the amount of hassle.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. So that's I hope you're right. We'll see if I cave and buy Scizor. I probably will, but it might be the last time I do this for a while. I guess.
What? The very next character after Clef was Alakazam.
Oh my no! I would spend the money again. But yeah, speaking of Clefs, let's talk about Clef for a second, and we'll talk about a little bit of Showdown news, and then we'll take a break and we'll hop into our main topic. So Clefable has been announced, so we haven't really talked much about this, Justin.
Announced.
What's that?
Officially announced.
Officially, the Pokemon Unite's YouTube channel dropped a trailer for Clefable before El Chico Eevee.
Which leads to a two-part conversation. Which part do you want to tackle first? Do you want to tackle Clef or do you want to tackle the leaks?
Let's talk about Clef first.
Clefable, for people that have been a fan of the channel in a while, you've heard us talk about this before, but for anyone that's new, we will catch you up. So, in the Pokemon Unite beta, there was no Wigglytuff. There was Clefable. Clefable was basically what Wigglytuff is now. That's the paraphrase version of what happened. Sing used to be Metronome. Like, that's basically how it worked. It was very similar animation, very similar stun mechanic, and all of that. It was basically copy-paste. They didn't like Clef for whatever reason, and they turned it into Wigglytuff, and that's who came out live day one for the roster. We had mentioned back then, and lots of people have, it's not like our idea, about like, I wonder if Clef's ever going to come back. I wonder if they're ever going to, because they scrapped it, they went back to the drawing board, or did they just throw it away and move on? Turns out, they had a little secret in their back pocket. So Clefable has been announced coming to the game after Scizor. 2 weeks after Scizor. So they're maintaining this 2-week release schedule, which it's literally the one thing I've been asking for since day one, so I am thrilled. We assume she's going to be a supporter. They showed off a couple of moves. We do have a couple of little details, like her ultimate is actually Metronome.
Yeah.
It's not a regular move, it's her Unite move. She has Meteor Mash, which is cool. It's just like a flurry of punches. It is just Clefairy and Clefable, again, sticking with the trend that we've seen so far with the pattern of no babies.
Yeah, no Clefa.
Exactly. I'm really excited. It looks like a really cool support. Don't really have any much else to say in the positive category just because we don't know too much, which we'll get into in the next piece of news. But based on what they've shown us and what very minimal info we have, yeah, it's pretty exciting. It's cool.
It's cool. We do need more supporters in the game, but I'm the Kanto guy, and like even I'm sick of all the Kanto reps, man. Like we've got every fat pink blob from Kanto now, so it's like, we could have got so many other, like they're like neglecting other Pokedexes at this point.
Yeah, I'm sick of getting the Patrick Belly button, right?
Yeah.
Like, we have Gary and Pink!
Yep.
Big pink Pokemon. Just like there are 1,000 Pokemon in existence. Let's go.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Chop now. Where's Sceptile?
Yeah, dude.
Where's Boomer?
Yeah. But yeah, let's talk about how the patches are going to be a little bit different now.
Yeah, why don't we... So normally we would have had... This is the part where we would plug the Clefairy content on our channel. We'd probably have a YouTube video. We'd have a Spotify extracurricular. What's up, Zero? Why don't we have any information about Clefable? This is not new. This is not normal. Excuse me.
Well, it sounds like they are keeping the patches to themselves instead of dropping them. Basically, they're dropping the data mined info is not being released the patch before.
Yeah, they basically plugged the dam.
Yeah,
they plugged the leak in the ship.
Yeah, which I mean, it's whatever. It's
no more leaks, no more data mines, no more early info. That's what it sounds like is going to be the thing, and that's so far what we can tell, and it's kind of disheartening a little bit because like that was really fun content for us to make. It's fun for us to learn. Like the new characters in the roster for me is one of the most exciting parts about this game.
Mm-hmm.
So so and so got in, And then the next feeling of, oh, look at what so-and-so can do. Look, Caesar can split evolve, and Mew is... That's the exciting part to me, is being able to see 3D space where we can go. That's the whole point of why this game's cool, for me. So, it's a bit of a pop in my balloon, if I gotta admit.
Yeah. It's a bummer, but I mean, they keep things really close to the vest in a lot of ways. Like, we haven't even seen Gen 9 starters at this point.
You mean like Pokemon Company?
Yeah, like Pokemon Nintendo kind of does that too. Especially, Smash Bros. And all these other things. They just don't like that. And it is what it is. I feel like they have like the most hackable software, so like this kind of stuff is like really easy to get out, and they're just not big on it.
Yeah. But, it is what it is. It just means that we had literally just started up this new like format and trend of like, oh, okay, well then we'll start doing this, and we like had like a big discussion, multiple like roundtable discussions with the PMC about this new era, this new format of doing Pokemon releases with the data mines and the extracurricular and how we format stuff for our channel and our brand. And then right as we start to get this rolling real nice, they yank up from underneath us. Basically what that means channel is that when Clef goes live is probably when we're going to know what she does, or I guess the alternative is maybe just 2 weeks prior. When Caesar drops, maybe then we'll start to get Clef news.
Potentially, yeah. I guess what it means, honestly, it just means we'll just have time to focus on other content, really. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's good if you like battle videos. It's good for all of our battle video fans because, like, that's probably just going to fill that void, honestly.
Yep.
So, yeah. And speaking of battle videos, we got one last thing to cover. Got about 7 minutes here before we got to take a break. Blastoise has been banned from NU. You got any thoughts on this, Justin?
For the reason that we like Blastoise in NU, so we have a bit of a bias, just because that's just not how we've. It got banned because of the Shell Smash.
Yep.
It was banned because of the tank sets.
Yep.
We built it with tank sets because that's sort of the point, because everyone expects it to be the Shell Smash. So when you come in there and just shrug off a super effective special hit, and they're like, well, wait a minute, how did that not do any damage? Yeah, bro, because I'm thick. We played into that expectation. That's why it worked. But the point is, Tankstoise was one of my favorites. It always has been. Tankstoise is amazing, especially now with Flip Turn.
Yeah.
S-tier tank. Unfortunately, he also has good stats because he's a starter, and he gets Shell Smash because he's a turtle. So,
yeah,
combo real quick, obviously with the white herb.
Yep. The biggest thing is because of the way things like NU has been getting more and more passive as far as like the Pokemon go. So, hold on, I'll look right now. Let's look at all the things that have been banned. I'll name them all off. This is just NU. Barbarical, Beware, Blastoise, Cresselia, Dragalge, Entei, Gudra, Indeedee, Linoon, Machamp, Pangoro, Porygon Z, Regidrago, Sandshrew, and Sandslash, Sigilyph, Sirfetch, Slurpuff, and Tornadus.
Which version of Sandshrew and Sandslash?
Alolan. Pardon me.
Yeah.
Good catch, buddy. Good catch.
Well, I mean, it's relevant. It got banned because of the Snow Rush.
So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 Pokemon banned out of NU. By far, the most Pokemon banned out of any tier, and it's not even close.
It's not like they just come in with an axe and just start swinging.
If you are an offensive Pokemon, especially if you're a fighting offensive Pokemon, you are banned. So it'll be interesting to see what rises up.
Jackie!
I think Passimian is if we have to talk about a fighting type that's going to get banned next from NU, it's probably going to be Passimian.
Yeah, because he's got really good stats.
But the point I'm trying to make here is all of these offensive threats that could just blow up a Pokemon like Blastoise before it sets up are not here. And the fact that it's so passive allows Blastoise to actually set up a substitute for free. Like Vaporeon. Vaporeon's a great example. You can't just, Vaporeon, Vaporeon switches in, thinks they're going to get some sort of water absorption shenanigans, and then you set up on it, you sub on it. There's a lot of Pokemon out there like that you just sub on. And then, Shell Smash, and then, honestly, Water and Dark is enough to just destroy the whole tier. You don't even need Ice Beam. Like, Ice Beam is a luxury. You don't need it.
Yeah, Dark Pulse is really good coverage.
Yeah.
It just slams Gastro, slams Vape.
Well, because in Decidueye and Dhelmise are part Ghost, so you don't need Ice Beam. So
Yep.
It is unfortunate to see our boy go. It's sort of understandable because of the state of NU and how things are just
in shambles.
Yeah, and then on top of you can get potential Dark Pulse flinches. Like eating 2+2 Dark Pulses really sucks.
Yep.
But I would say at the current state of NU, it's more justifiable than some of the other things that we've seen in the last little while. But it is what it is, man.
Yeah, it's kind of predictable at this point. It's not news anymore. It's just all right, yeah, it finally happened.
Yeah, and I don't think they're done either. I think they'll just keep. I think we'll be getting bans until the day that Gen 9 drops.
And for this is a prelude for anybody that's wondering. At the beginning of the show, we've talked about it multiple times on this channel already about this because we're in this lull period after Worlds, but before Gen 9. What's the next pillar of the channel outside of just Unite and TCG or Smogon or VGC or 3, whatever it may be. The reason that it's in contention is for stuff like this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is exactly why. Not to mention cartridge is
just better,
more fun. It's just better to want better content. But this is exactly why. They're just. All right, Justin, word it. G-rated. They're just very childish. It reads as childish behavior when you're a fan or follow along with Smogon for as long as we have. There's this pattern of just this childish kind of feeling to their bands. Does that make sense? They're just stop whining, get good.
Yeah, sometimes it's
not all the time.
It's just tough because
a decent chunk of the bands though. It's not just one or two. There is a huge portion of the band historically that have just been it's just get over it. It's not get good, learn to play.
Yeah, we'll see what happens because it's just kind of weird. It's a weird state because they've got the tier system, which is great, but then there's also there's this lack of control, I feel when it comes to certain items, certain Pokemon, certain abilities, things like that. So
yeah, they'll ban Hail, but then in OU they won't just ban Speed Boost or Libero or Guerrilla Tactics. They'll ban the whole Mon. So there's not even symmetry there.
Right.
It's just a lot weird. It seems like when you're kids and you start playing that game with your friends, and then that one kid that, no, you can't hit me. I dodged it. I'm super fast. I got all the powers. And it's come on, Billy, you can't have all the powers. It feels like those type of people are some of the people that are running the ban lists and running the top stuff at Smogon.
Just a bunch of Billies.
Just a bunch of people that are just, I want to have my cake and eat it too.
Right.
Here, I'm not going to ban the Pokemon. I'm going to ban the ability. But up here, I'm going to ban the whole Pokemon, not the ability.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you just don't. There's no consistency.
Yeah, but it is what it is. We'll see what happens. Maybe Gen 9 is super lit and we'll just play Showdown, but we don't know. There's a lot to be seen still. We're in the early phases. We just need more Gen 9 leaks.
Yeah, we just need them to come around and actually let us know what to expect now.
Mm-hmm.
We're coming up on it. I'm looking at my proverbial watch right now. Like, the clock's ticking, Pokemon.
Yeah.
Get us hyped.
Well, with all that said, we are going to take a little break, and then when we come back, we're going to move on to our main topic. We're going to talk about how, well, not even how. This is not a class. This is a theory crafting session.
Yeah, it's a revolving door. It's a continuous, consistent, ongoing conversation, and this is just part of that conversation.
Yeah, some early metagame theory crafting. First 3 weeks of Day of Sky Ruins. We're going to get into it after break. We'll talk about ideas for navigating the final 2 minutes of a Pokemon Unite game. We will catch you on the other side. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and we're here to talk about more Unite. What'd you figure? Imagine that. We're here to talk about Pokemon Unite. Like always, what's up? Justin, start us off.
So, the big thing we want to touch on is this is a work in progress. Like, this is not a set in stone. This is not the 10 Commandments of you must do this or you're wrong. This is, we're learning new stuff every day.
Yeah, it's going to be a little...
an ongoing conversation.
This is gonna be a contrast to what we normally do, where it's like, here's what we do, here's what you should do. This is gonna be different. We're just gonna talk. We're gonna have a conversation with each other, and basically bring you guys in. And we're gonna talk a little bit about the last 2 minutes because I feel like it's the most important and confusing part of the game at the moment.
Yeah. The first thing and foremost. The one thing that is still the exact same as Remote Stadium, if that timer goes off and ding, 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 now there's 2 minutes left, and now the map flips over, and now we have double scoring, and all of a sudden I look at the mini-map, and my Delphox is just off in Egypt somewhere, just farming off in a corner, Crussel's down here trying to get some birds, and you're just like, no! The game is not that much different.
Yes, that's...
You still need to be somewhere relevant on, or like, and again, if you're on time, you're late. You need to be there 15, 20 seconds before, and you need to figure out where to be. And you need to plan it out. You need to pay attention. You need to wake up and use your eyeballs and check that timer. Because so many times we're like, well, we could make play A, B, or C, but no one is anywhere close to position.
Mm-hmm.
They're just off farming. They're just all over the place.
Yes, that is a struggle. Like when your carry is, I'm going to sit here and paint this picture, but it's like, I don't even need to paint this picture. You've played the game where your Cinderace is farming jungle at 155, and your Eldegoss is farming Audinos at 155, and your Mamoswine was trying to solo a Reggie that disappeared at the 2 minute mark, and then you and your friend are the only ones at the Rayquaza pit or trying to score. And those are kind of the two...
Movie time.
Yes, exactly. So those are kind of the two methods that we're going to talk about, because this meta is still so early. We've only had the map for, 3 weeks? Right?
3 or 4.
3 or 4. I feel like it has never been a more...
Yeah, like 3 or 4, something like that.
It's never been a more confusing time to play Pokemon Unite. And you know what? I think, we even put out a video on this about how important it is to play for Regieleki. And it's so crazy that there's so much information out there. And Unite is a different game because in regular Pokemon, there are numbers that can justify why you run certain coverage or why you do certain things. Pokemon Unite doesn't have that. And there's so many varying opinions. Like, I saw a tweet from Chris Heroes yesterday saying Regidrago's overrated. Or not Drago, I'm sorry. Regieleki's overrated. And it's just like, he can say that because there's no... Oh, yeah, I disagree. I also disagree. Justin's over here shaking his head.
That is a wildly... that is as
take?
Close to an objective negative as you can get. It is a subjective opinion, but it's barely. It's got all but a toe in that it's basically an objective truth that Regieleki is the exact antithesis of overrated.
Right. It's
Regieleki is the game.
Yeah. But that's the point I'm trying to make is you feel one way, we feel one way. This guy feels a certain way. And then there's other people. It's not just them and us. There's so many different things, and there's no numbers to back up any of it. Not even
a lot of subjective opinions.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's no. I mean, there are wrong ways to play the game, but I feel like there are multiple right ways to play the game. Right.
Yep.
And
more than one. There has never been more paths to victory than now.
Yeah. So we're going to kind of explore 2 paths to victory that we think are the best ways to take in the final 2 minutes. We're going to talk pros and cons of each. We're going to play devil's advocate. Okay, let's say you go all in on this strategy. We talk about how we can make it work, and we're going to talk about why it could fail and lose you the game. So, Justin, what do you want to talk about first? Because you feel... I do want to say, we've had a lot of conversation off camera. You have a certain play style, and you wanted to play the last 2 minutes a certain way, and then I wanted to play the last 2 minutes a certain way, and then we had a really good conversation about it, and I thought that really inspired me to kind of choose this topic for the podcast. I wanted to bring this conversation to the masses. So, do you want to start with your... I don't even want to say method, but, your idea?
I get my philosophy. The big thing is that it all starts at team select. Much like when you play TCG, much like if you play singles, VGC, Warhammer, disc golf, it doesn't matter. Your preparation is the first step in the competitive game plan.
Yes.
That is part of the game.
I do
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I just interrupt you really, really quick. The two main styles, we haven't even really stated what they're going to be, and I want to state them now for timestamp purposes. Timestamp purposes. There's going to be 2 methods here that we're going to talk about. The first method is back capping. That is sneaking in 100-point goals while the dragon is still up and just capping goals. It's called back capping, and then you go from there.
Or from a League of Legends perspective, this is one of my favorite strategies. We call it the 4-1 split.
Okay.
So you have 4 members of a team in a group that don't try to go farm. They do the normal dragon pit stuff. Mm-hmm. Just everybody knows. I'm not gonna, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to talk to the audience like they're 5. You guys have watched our content. At least in what to do at Zapdos, do the same thing here. Big team fight. Yep. Those 4 do that, and the 1, ding, 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 100, and then comes back to the fight and then makes it a 5-man at the end and cleans up.
Yep. So we call that back capping.
Yeah, that is essentially the quick, super fast explanation of my philosophy on. But again, I like to plan for that in our champion select. Yep. That's not just a staple. It works for everything.
Yep. And then the other style or the other theory we're going to talk about is playing for Rayquaza. And should you take it? Should you defend it? What should you do? Should you even be there? That's the other thing we're going to talk about. So let's talk about backcapping first, Justin, because this is your style. This was your idea. This was how, you thought, well, we should do this. And let's talk about it.
In solo queue, when you don't have anybody with you and it's just you with some Randys, one of the best characters, if you can manage to get jungle, one of the best characters in the game is Talonflame. It's what helped me to Masters last time. It's what helped me climb most of the climbing that I've done this season, other than Blastoise. So, like, Talonflame is insane. Fly is just ridiculous. The amount of options you have, both offensively and defensively. Being able to make more risks that are actually calculated, because you just have a get out of jail free card. And Talonflame is an assassin. Super squishy, burst damage, not good in a sustained auto attack duel. Just once I'm on cooldown, it's sort of, I gotta wait a second. I need, you know what I mean?
Well, hit and run action.
Yeah, hit and run, assassin. So, multiple layers to this lasagna as to why Talonflame fits basically perfectly into this 4-1 split strat, this back cap, sneaking a goal in strat. Dodrio would fit in this hypothetically pretty well, especially late game with the movement speed. Stuff like, but it can't overdunk, so that's an issue, but that's a completely different scenario. The point is, these characters that can, we see an opening and the team call is to go do this. We need a character that has the option to just, the 4 are here, and the 1 goes, scores the hundo, and then comes right back, and then, you know what I mean? We pick a fight, even if it's a 4v5, you come in at the back end, they're all low health, and you're an assassin. Tink, 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 kill. Do you see what I mean?
Yep.
Like, on paper, in a vacuum, that's sort of the idea of the strategy. Like, because we can take that dragon fight. We do 2 birds in 1 stone. We get a head up on 100 extra points, cap a goal, potentially make the enemy peel off to try and stop us, but they can't because I'm a Talonflame and I'm way faster than almost anyone in the game. Not to mention I have Fly to just get away, or my ultimate to just get away. So, like, and if they peel off to come chase me, that's more detrimental in most matchups than me not being there, because if I was there, I wouldn't be in the fight until I could anyways. I'd be in a bush waiting for my opportunity to fly.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't even be in the fight half the time. So, like, but again, that comes into the planning of champion select before the game even starts. Champion select is part of the game, though. Like, you have to go in understanding I'm playing towards this win condition. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, you'll look at your team, especially if you're in a solo queue, and be like, maybe this is a team that can hold their own in that 4v5, that potential 4v5. I've got room to back at. Maybe it's an Eldegoss and a Blastoise and a Delphox and a Machamp. On paper, you think that team, that comp, could hold their own in a 4v5 while you go score.
30 seconds. For just 20, 30 seconds, and I'll be right back.
Yep.
So, there are other times where I'm on Talonflame and solo queue where it's like, I'm going to sit around in a bush and wait because they're going to pick a fight and I need to be here to clean it up because we need to make up some ground here and they need my damage to clean up this fight. I can't just leave them. So you have to be able to be flexible also. Do you see what I mean? It's not ever a one and done. It's never just cut and dry, which is what makes it so difficult is because there's so many options depending on who you pick, depending on who's on your team, depending on what movesets and items, depending on the enemy, depending on the game state. Are they bot lane in a big 4 or 5 man pile because they just tried to get that Reggie? Did we get the Reggie elect? There's so many moving parts here. But on paper in a vacuum, that is essentially the idea of the strategy, is making sure that at least one character on your roster of 5 has the ability to do this job. So that way, if and when that window of opportunity rears its head, we can pull the trigger and actually make the play. It doesn't mean that you do it every game, but I want to have that option in every game. Does that make sense? I want to have that clip.
Yeah. And yeah, you're right. I think selecting the right character for the job, you nailed it. That's so important because you got to pick a character with some high scoring, someone who can score fast, someone who can move fast, someone who won't get caught out if you get jumped on jump, someone who can get out. Like,
You want to play Machamp because you want to go punch people in the face? Guess what? Then you're not the one to be doing this. You need to be at the team fight. You're slow.
dude,
You have slow scoring.
His scoring is so bad, dude. It's so slow.
And you have the best late game team fight in the game. You need to be in that 4 squad. You can't be the 1. You have to be a part of the 4.
Yep.
If you try to do it other ways, you are objectively wrong. It's not an opinion.
And I think
there is some black and white, but it all comes down to the preparation.
Yeah.
You have to go into it knowing this amount of knowledge about character selection. Like, and then this just comes with time. And some of it feels like common sense to us because we've been doing it. But, like, some people might not realize, oh, yeah, I guess I didn't think about it. Machamp should be at the team fight. Like, yeah, come on now.
Yeah, I mean, it could just take that second. Like, if your presence in a team fight is important, don't peel off to score. Like, yes, Talonflame is important because he can clean up KOs, but he has the ability to do more than one thing. If you're a Blastoise,
you have to be at the team fight.
Be at the team fight. Don't try to backcap. You go
if
help
you're
the
a
team.
Mr. Mind, you have to be at the team fight. You're the most broken character in the game.
Yes.
If you're a Delphi, you have one of the most broken, in terms of damage and duration, ultimates in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And not to mention low cooldown and high DPS. Like, these characters have to be at those team fights. You can't be the one that goes and scores. You picked a high DPS carry, you can't then also be the one that gets the most points. It's not about MVP.
Right.
You have to do your job. And if you pick a damage carry, you have to be at the team fight to deal damage. If you pick a tank, you have to be at the team fight to tank damage.
Yeah.
But that's where I think the speedster role has a role.
Yeah, it's kind of changing the game now, right? Like that enables this strategy. Like, that strategy used to lose you the game. It doesn't necessarily do that anymore, and that kind of brings me. That brings me to a little thing. I was hoping that you could. All right, really quickly, name 5 characters who you think would be great at backcapping. Go.
So obviously Talonflame's the best.
Yep.
Depending on the game state, like if you have 100 if you have 50 in your pocket and there's a goal with no points on it yet, Dodrio's great at it.
Mm-hmm.
I say that because of the overdunk problem we mentioned earlier in the news and also in our video.
Okay,
in the description.
There's 2.
I really don't hate the idea of Gardevoir.
Gardevoir, really?
Yeah. The reason is because Gardevoir is hard to 1v1 for a lot of characters, not all. But I would say 75% of the characters, late game, if a Gardevoir is like even remotely close to good, obviously we're assuming that game state is relevant, but who can 1v1 a Gardevoir late game? There's not many.
Yeah, it just depends if you got in or not. That's really the big thing.
So if they send somebody up to stop you, again, now there's a man advantage down here, or at least equal. And if the Gardevoir does get in and then comes back, and the Gardevoir is the one that comes in a little bit towards the end of a team fight.
Oh, she's got the best team fighting ultimate in the whole game, in my opinion.
And everyone's already half health and burned all their big cooldowns, and I'm not dead because I wasn't there to be hit by it and everything's squishy. They're not jumping on me the way they would be. Mm-hmm. It's just a team fight without that super polarizing, get her! Kind of character there. So that's a weird one, but you see my thought process?
Yeah, I do.
Because he comes in on the backside of the fight and triple, quadra, penta, boom, I just clean up everybody without even trying. Because you're all half health and I'm a Gardevoir late game. So there's that aspect too. It's not just the scoring, but also the coming in and pinching on the back end of the fight sort of idea. I really, really like the idea of, for people that are fans of the Ancient Power Tyranitar.
Oh, that's a great pick. Great pick, actually.
Because again, who can solo a Tyranitar late game? Not many.
No.
So if they send someone to stop you, it's probably going to be 2 people to stop you. You're creating map pressure, you're creating map advantage, and incentive for your team in the mid now has an advantage. Do you see my thought process here? Again, vacuum on paper. Everything is subject to, game state. But the point is, that's the idea. Is like, oh, wow, yeah. Because, like, imagine a T-Tar's going up to score. And this last one's going to be the same thing. Crustle.
Yep. That was another one.
Crustle has a terrible late game output. Always has. He falls off late game in terms of damage. His best strength in the last 3 to 4 minutes of the game is always his defensive stats and his mobility, especially if you're taking Shell Smash. Obviously, if you're taking the wall, it's a different scenario. You probably want to be at the team fight to actually block people off, especially in Thea when there's so many terrain around anyways. You can really utilize that wall. But the Shell Smash version of Crustle, along with the Ancient Power version of T-Tar, they're this super, super, super thick with 3Cs, tanky monstrosity late game. You can't solo them.
Mm-hmm.
If you do, you're not just going to solo and pop them like a pimple. You're gonna be up there for 30 seconds.
Yeah, you are removed from the team fight.
You are removed from that possibility of you or them, but like you have to send someone. You have to send like a Serena, and I want the Serena at the team fight. So like you might have to send 2 people if you want to get the job done quickly. So again, because of how much pressure it could draw, that's why I like that. Because Crustle's not that great in a team fight late game when he's on Shell Smash. He doesn't offer that much.
No,
never has. He's an early and mid game spike, and late game he drops off offensively. But he's also really tanky, and he's really fast.
Yep.
And then honorable mention is always Greedent. Same exact play style.
Okay.
Greedent sucks late game. He doesn't do much in a team fight. He's not really that relevant, but he's really quick, and he's really thick.
Yep.
But he's not important or necessary in that big dog pile team fight.
Yeah, so I think that kind of wraps up our thoughts on bat capping. Basically, it's a strategy that can work. Just be smart about it, is kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah, you have to approach that as a win con, not the win con.
Yep.
That is the important distinction. It's all about your mentality going into the game.
Yep. So, I'll lead us off on the next one because this was my big idea, okay? When we were in Remote Stadium, it didn't matter what the game state was. And I feel it's kind of the same now. There's just more back capping, so it creates map pressure. I still think Rayquaza is the most important objective on the map. That final 2 minutes, I personally don't think much has changed, except it's easier to back cap because so many people are doing it. There's not a lot of people at the mid. I don't know if the game will shift. I think it may shift back to kind of what that Zapdos Remote Stadium era was. So my theory and thought on the final 2 minutes was, let's get 5 guys, let's hide in a bush, and let's jump them when they get to the dragon. Because here's my thought process. There's 2 reasons to be at that pit for Rayquaza. 1, if you're ahead and the enemies need Rayquaza, you know where the fight is going to be. Yep. That's your chance to jump the enemies, erase them. It probably forces surrender because people are surrender happy in this game. The other reason you would be at Rayquaza is because you are behind and you need it. If you need Rayquaza and bat capping doesn't look like a safe or smart option, get the whole team at the mid, win the team fight, rip the dragon. They're all on cooldowns for 15 to 10 to 5 seconds or whatever. Rip the dragon, go score 500 points. You win the game. The common theme here is the enemy. You know what I mean? Someone needs it. Someone's gonna be there. So if you know someone's gonna be there,
there's gonna be pressure on either your team or the enemy. Someone's gonna be like, "Hey, look at that dragon over there." Someone somewhere is gonna be looking at it.
Yes, and another point I want to make is, I have seen people on Twitter or whatever. They have this They spread this idea. If you're ahead, you don't need Rayquaza / Zapdos. If you're ahead, just defend. Don't rip the dragon. Defend your goals. Okay. Here's my thing. The longer you leave their win condition on the board, the longer you increase your chances of losing. Your chances of losing the game increase as long as you leave Rayquaza on the board. So, say you're going to play defense. You know, maybe you got 2 bottom, 2 top, and you got one guy just wandering around. They rip the dragon for free. They can score on you. It's not insta, but they're going to score on you. They're going to get points. I don't care if you have 5 goals and they have 1. If you want to win the game, you got to play to win. You got to play aggressive. This is how you, in my opinion, this is how you just rip victory from their hands. Take their win condition off the board, erase any chance of victory for them. Take
the opportunity.
Yeah.
To be a win condition. If the dragon's not there, they have no chance to use it.
Exactly. You're leaving the comeback mechanic on the board. You're asking for drama. You're asking for this dramatic finish. You're asking.
I do like the idea. Again, this is game state dependent, but I do like the idea of spreading some knowledge of using the dragon, leaving it up as bait. If you're ahead and they're behind, like if you're just mushroom stamping these kids the whole first 8 minutes. I like the idea of hiding in the back bush rather than the forward bush, letting them think they can get, they're not here, let's get it. Psych.
Yep, then I just collapse on them from there.
And just ambush there. So, like, in that respect, I like the idea of leaving it up if and when it's appropriate, to leave it up as bait. But I agree, I don't like just leaving it up.
Yeah, I don't think... I think leaving the dragon... I think leaving the dragon up or completely ignoring the dragon is just this like way too safe idea or mentality or theory of how to play the final 2 minutes. Like, you can sit there and defend it the whole time, and if you so say the enemy team comes in, you win the team fight. There's no reason for you to not rip the dragon there. No reason.
Oh no, but that's the moment where the one splits off and scores.
See, that's a great time to do that. Leave the damage to rip.
If there is 2 or more death timers on the enemy team, and I'm Talonflame, 90% of the time, unless it's like a coin flip and they need me to steal the dragon because I have fly.
Right.
Outside of that one niche thing, which Talonflame is great at, when I've done a bunch of, we even have it on the channel, go check it out. But outside of that, every other time, 100% of the time, if there's 2 or more dead, I'm off to score. You don't even ask me. Don't even look around for me. Don't even be surprised. Oh, I thought you were there. No, bro. You know where I'm at. There's 2 or 3 dead. I am getting 100 points in that goal stat. But that's my job on that character.
Well, and that brings up another point is, they might jump to defend you. They might jump to defend you, and now the dragon's even more free because that's another body that's not there to rip the dragon.
Exactly. You're drawing... and again, Crustle.
Yeah.
If there's 2 or 3 dead, Crustle, go score. You need to draw... because you're going to draw at least 1 super jump, if not 2. And that means the dragon is basically free.
Yeah.
Because, imagine Zero and Spork Ninja are ripping this dragon with a Randy or 2, and I'm going to score a hundo. And they jump to me instead of them. PMC's got the dragon 100% of the time. It's ours. It's not even kind of contested at that point. And you put them in a spot where they have, it's like Warhammer. The more choices you give your opponent to make, the greater risk they run of making a mistake, of making the wrong choice. Giving your opponents a lot of options is a good way to... It is an aggressive, offensive mentality of how to sort of set a trap, I guess, if that makes sense.
Okay, all right, that's a good point. But that is a good point. Yeah, I like how you worded that. That is good.
That's how I think about it. But it's all game state dependent. And like we said in our Pirates Code video, it's you have to adapt.
Yes.
You have to learn the game state. Is this a game where I do that? Ooh, no, it's not going to work here. You have to, and a lot of it's throwing spaghetti, and it might lose you the game, but you have to try.
Yeah.
You have to learn what works and what doesn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're not going to know about how a disc flies until you get your hands on it and throw that mug, right?
True. Don't ask the internet. Don't ask the internet how it flies. Figure it out for yourself.
You got to figure out how you and that thing and your local net work. Like the same thing with everything. You have to. You can theorize stuff in Warhammer or Pokemon Showdown single stuff. Oh, it says right here I get 103 to 200. Blah blah blah. Yeah, you killed the dude. But like if you're running a calc of 83% to 99, you're not going to one shot. Okay, you know that. But when it's something like 95 to 107, you could kill or you could not kill. You're rolling the dice there.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to go into it knowing what those statistics are. It's not a flat. We play RNG games, and nothing in an RNG game is going to give you more, like teach you more, give you more experience than actually getting out and practicing.
So, to wrap up the idea of playing for the dragon,
yes, What type of characters? What type of characters do you think should be at the Dragon Pit? Like, what? Not even naming Pokemon. Like we already talked about a couple Blastoise and good team fight characters, but like what roles?
I think almost all of your ranged damage, unless it's something like Greninja, should be at the fight. I think Greninja should backcap. That was a character I wanted to mention. I think Greninja would be an amazing backcap character.
Because he can come in at the end of a team fight and just clean house too.
Yep. So Greninja's a great. I think, like you said, not naming characters.
You got like a Decidueye. In certain game states, Gardevoir. If you got Delphox, Espeon, any of the EVs.
Venusaur, your support characters that are slow scorers, they should be there because it doesn't matter that they're trying to back. Mime.
Yeah.
Blastoise. Most of your tanks outside of like Crustle and Greedent, like Mammo, you should be at the fight every time. Right?
Mammo, Blissey, Wigglytuff.
A lot of all-rounders should be there. You mentioned Machamp.
Dragonite.
Serena. Dragonite could backcap with his ult.
I like Dragonite backcap. I was going to mention that. I like him backcapping with his ult, but I like him better to actually be with the team fight and then use his ult to peel off once we have the dragon buff.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
He's so good at a team fight. I want him to cap the dragon, get the team fight, and then, I don't know if we're going to be able to get in. Don't worry, bro. I got this.
Hey, you want to know, ironically, who I think would be a decent backcap character because they suck so bad? Is Azumarill, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Azumarill's better. Better than it has been in a while.
But because he's not, like, the most essential... If he's not in a team fight late game, you're like, okay, well, we still got all of us. It's just an Azumarill. Not that big of a deal that he's not there unless he's got, like, 100% of the experience of that game because somebody just went God mode. The point is, that's a great shout, especially if you have a goal getter.
Yeah. So to answer your question, it's a tough question. We could actually sit in here, we could make a list of who should be there, but you need to ask yourself, do we need me to win a team fight? If the answer is yes, if you're Eldegoss, if you're Wigglytuff, if you're any support, if you're most tanks, if you're most range damage, if you are a bruiser of a melee character.
Beyond. Yep.
Garchomp.
Charizard, Garchomp, Machamp. You have to be at that fight.
Mm-hmm. You know who's actually great in a team fight is Gengar right now. For as squishy he is, Gengar's an amazing team fight because he just bursts.
He draws attention and then he iframes.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, and then I think that kind of wraps up that idea.
No, I totally agree. I couldn't have said it better myself. Like, it really needs to be hammered home that while Rayquaza is not as broken as Zapdos, it's still really important.
The last thing
It's important.
the last thing I wanted to say, this one's off the cusp here.
I do have another thing also about the Rayquaza fight.
Go for it, because I'm gonna wrap it up with something different.
Rayquaza does a crap ton of damage.
Yes, and has a lot of health.
You need to use. That's one thing that we've been doing recently. We've been using, sort of like I said about like the bait a little bit, where it's like, let them start the Rayquaza in some game states. Like, that's fine. Let Rayquaza just rain meteors on their freaking heads. You know what I mean? Because then we're gonna come in and you already have health, and all we gotta do is
Yep.
and then sprinkle system, and now everyone's dead.
Yeah.
You see what people that are listening or watching, I'm talking about Blastoise surfing in and alting. But the point is, like, Rayquaza does a lot of damage, and you can use, that's another tool I want people to be aware that exists, is you could potentially use, if people are trying to fight in the pit, like a T-Tar, a Serena, Crustle, Blastoise, Snorlax, if you catch these characters that are like in the pit trying to rip dragon, they are getting hammered by that dragon as well. You almost have basically like a sixth character shooting on them.
Yeah.
So understanding that exists factually is a really important knowledge tool that we can use, and we have been using in our PMC games recently, is like using Rayquaza's output to help us win the team fight.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So the last thing that I wanted to say before we sign off, we're over our time a little bit, so I'll make this one kind of quick. Until we get a scoreboard, if the game seems close and Rayquaza's done, you guys, if there's a minute left in the game and the game's close, you don't know who's winning, don't be a hero. Go back and defend your goal.
Yep.
Don't let them score any more points, because, maybe you get 40 points in, but that Eldegoss snuck right by you and put 60 in. So it's not worth it.
That's another good opportunity for the 4-1.
Yeah, exactly.
But those four need to understand it's not about you. Your job is defending. This character's job is scoring. You can't have it both ways. You can't have your cake and eat it too. If you pick a good team fight character, you can't then make the selfish play to go score. You didn't pick a scoring character. You picked a team fight character. So you need to be at where the team fight is, and sometimes that's defensively. It's a great point.
Yep. And put your ego aside, and instead of farming damage, run circles even if it's for the final minute. Keep your eye on the map. Stay on your goal.
Let them score.
Farm the Indeedis around you, but do not wander off the goal. Play defense. Secure the win.
I think it's 45 seconds. The thing will give you the last update.
Yep.
And if that thing says you're ahead, like you said, it could be 45 seconds. So what? That'll win you the game, though. Don't leave the goals.
Yeah, I want to win. I don't care about getting 100,000 damage if I lose. It feels hollow.
And they should remove the MVP.
Yeah,
because it's just bad incentive. This is not a solo game. This is not Call of Duty. This is not Halo. This is not Team Deathmatch. That's not the point. This is a team game. MVP should not exist.
No.
Because it's just bad incentive structure, because then it's natural for humans to try to get the trophy.
Exactly.
There's a reason that every video game has a reward system. It's because it's natural to our, every psychographic profile on the planet that are gamers. We like getting rewards.
Yep.
The MVP should not be there, because it's just a bad incentive structure. Because then some people, sometimes, will be like, oh, I'm going to go try and score to get MVP. Yeah, but you lost the game.
Yep. Yeah, we needed you at the goal, buddy, not scoring. So yeah, man. I think that pretty much covers everything we wanted to talk about. I think we both made some great points. Like we said, this is just theory crafting. I don't think there's, there is wrong ways to play, yes. We could name a million.
Right ways.
Yeah. And I think
that's the key here, is that there's multiple win conditions. There are multiple paths to victory. And increasing your knowledge base as well as practicing. So you need to know what options exist, or how are you going to know to even try to go for it?
Yeah, exactly. So guys, we hope you enjoyed this episode. We're going to wrap it up. Stay tuned to PMC. We'll have some more fun content next week, and we will catch you then. Until then, I've been Zero.
And I'm Justin.
Council's adjourned.